Unseasonable warmth, a half marathon, and 50-miler training. Let's take a look at what's happened in October. Hello, fellow geeks, and welcome back to Running Geek Girl. My name is Heather, and I am glad you are here because we are going to take a look back at how things have gone in the month of October. We'll take a look at training, races, and medals. We'll talk about what's going to be coming up next on my race calendar, what's coming up next on the channel, and anything new that I may have tried over the last month. Be sure to stay tuned to the end of the video for our monthly playlist drop. We're going to start things off like we always do by taking a look back at the month of training. Here we go. It is October finally, and I am still kind of recovering. I get better and then I get worse. Can't seem to shake this chest cold that's just been plaguing me for a while. But the plan for the week is that this is going to be a lower mileage week and mostly some easy runs, one speed session, which is really just an easy run with some strides, and then a 2-hour long run at the end of the week, which is going to be great because for the first time in a while I don't have anything scheduled on Saturday, so I can get my long run in there and then have the rest of the weekend to do whatever. I will catch up with you guys after the long run. Here we are for another week of October. We are finally getting some fall weather, which for us means a 30 to 40 degree swing in the temperatures over the course of the day. So we're starting in the 40s and ending in the 80s by the afternoon. But I am taking a mid-morning run, so in the 60s, feels fantastic, nice breeze, watching the leaves change. It's just a nice morning overall. This week, we are back to kind of a regular dosage of training, so some 1.5 to 45-minute runs. We've got one that's a tempo run, one that's going to be uphills, focusing on form, focusing on maintaining steady pace. So that is where my head's at, but not going to have time for a long run this weekend because I am taking my family camping. So I'll probably do a little bit of hiking. Since I have the little ones, it'll be a little bit slow. So no long run this weekend, but that's okay. Sometimes you have to miss, but I am putting everything I got into the training for the week. So hopefully that will have to do. So just going to finish this warm-up, get into my run, and hope that we have a good week. I am feeling a little bit better health-wise, but we'll see where we are by the end of camping. I'll see you guys later. All right, we're back for another week of training. Instead of a long run over the weekend, I was camping, as I mentioned, and the closest I got to a long run was taking about 1.5 mile hike that took us well over 1.5 hours to get through because we had kids from age kindergarten up to 5th grade, so you got to go slow when you're dealing with little ones like that. And then a lot of chasing kids around the campground, walking back and forth from one end of camp to the other. So I still got a ton of steps in, and that's just going to have to do for my weekend activity. But we are back with a regular week of training, so that means about 3 easy runs. Tuesday, Thursday, we're looking at speed and possibly some hill work, but definitely some speed work, some fartleks. And then for my long run for the weekend, I'm supposed to do a 3-hour long run. Instead, on Saturday, I will be doing the Creep and Crawl Half Marathon in Little Rock. It's going to be at Two Rivers Park, which I've run in several times before, as well as the Arkansas River Trail. So I do know that there's a couple of very short, steep inclines, but no like actual huge hills like you would see through the rest of Little Rock. So that's a good thing. Again, this is going to be treated as a long run, so I am not pushing for time or anything like that. And this is going to be a late afternoon, early evening run because it starts at 4. And we've got a 4-hour time limit, which gives me plenty of time to finish. A lot of people are dressing up. We get a glow-in-the-dark hoodie. We get a really cool medal. So that's where I'm headed for the weekend. Treating this just kind of like a fun run, not trying to break my PB or anything like that. So eyes on the prize. That's going to be next month's 24-hour run, and that's where everything's headed right now. So
trying not to hurt myself before the fact. So that's where we're headed for this week, and I will catch up with you after the race. And here we are for the last full week of October, and then we got a couple of days at the beginning of next week to finish off the month. But I am coming off of the Creep Crawl Half Marathon, so I'm still a little bit sore from that. If you missed my video wrap up of that, it's going to be linked up here so you can get caught up. But at one point, and I know this is probably because of an electrolyte imbalance, but I cramped up from my shoulder to my hip on my right side, and I'm still feeling sore there even today. So I am trying to treat today as a recovery run, nice and easy, and then we're going to use the rest of the week to build up to the long run at the end of the week, which is going to be a trial run for the 24-hour race. I'm going to use 6 hours to cover at least 3 miles per hour, trying to figure out what's going to be a sustainable pace for the full 24. So we're just going to run 6 hours and see how we are doing. We've got one speed session scheduled for the middle of the week, just some nice intervals, nothing too fancy this week because it's mostly just about gearing up towards that long run. So I will see you guys after the long run. And we are back. We have gone from unseasonable warmth to cold front. It has rained all weekend long, and the temperatures have dropped way down with it to get us into freeze warnings. And that did include my long run on Saturday. So expect a video in a couple of days talking about that whole experience. So the plan for this week is to, it looks like my training plan has some easier runs at the beginning of the week and easing back into just regular training by the end of the week, and a long, slow run on Saturday. So it's back to business as usual, just doing the last little bit of gearing up for the races coming up in November. So make sure that you stay tuned to the channel so that you don't miss any of that. And now let's take it back inside.
And that brings us up to now. So first of all, I want to say that I am super happy to not be as sick as I was at the beginning of the month. Of course, I'm still experiencing some sinus congestion, what with all the changes in weather and everything, but it is nowhere near as bad as it was towards the end of last month and the first part of this month. So super happy to get that back on track. As I mentioned, there is going to be a video coming out soon talking about my trial run that I did for 6 hours this weekend. So make sure that you're staying tuned so that you can get some information on what I learned through that and what I experienced that day. It was 6 hours running in the rain, so I'll give you that much. Taking a look at just how training has gone overall, it has not been that bad. The main thing has just been about staying consistent. Overall, the runs themselves have not been hugely longer than they have been before, whereas before I was doing 1 hour runs. Sometimes it's an hour 15 to an hour and a half, and my longer runs are usually, instead of about 2 hours, sometimes it's about 2.5 to 3 hours or more. And the ones that are longer than 3 hours have been few and far between, mostly just focusing on conditioning and trying to maintain good form, and just focusing on a lot of keeping things going. And that's really been the focus of a lot of this training block. I already know that I'm going to experience quite a few lows over the 24-hour race. That's just the way that things go. And so I am hoping that I am mentally prepared to deal with all of that. But overall, I feel like with everything that's been going on, the busyness of the fall season, staying on top of training has really been a challenge, but it's one that I have actually been able to push through, and so I am happy about that. And with that being said, let's turn our attention to races and medals. I only did one race over the course of this month, and that was the Creep and Crawl Half Marathon held at Two Rivers Park in Little Rock. This is part of the Run Local series that is put on by the organizers of the Little Rock Marathon. I'm going to have a link up here and down in the description to my entire race video about that. But the TLDR of that is that it was a very hot day, and I experienced a lot of dizziness and cramping because I really think I underestimated just how hot it was going to be out there. So this definitely was a challenge. I was much slower than I intended to be, but I did manage to push through to the finish line and had a great experience overall, because they worked very hard to make sure that there was adequate hydration for everyone. The volunteers there did their absolute best to make sure that everybody kept their spirits up, and it was a rough day for everybody, but we managed to make it to the finish line. And in case you missed the video, this is the half marathon hoodie that we got. They did a witch theme this year, and the witch itself does actually glow in the dark. And this is the finisher's medal, and here we go. We have a witch again. I always enjoy getting a really nice medal, so this was a good one. Coming up on the calendar on November 17th and 18th, I will be at Dirt Circus Bentonville. That is an entire trail running festival that is being held by Ultra Sign Up. They are doing this in various locations throughout the country. However, the one in Bentonville is also going to involve an elite 10K race, which I'm really looking forward to seeing. They have some amazing runners coming, and I'm really looking forward to getting to meet some of them and maybe get some advice and some ideas from them. And then they are going to have a 5K fun run for us mere mortals that are there. There's going to be various door prizes. There's going to be vendors there showing things off, a lot of discussion about the outdoors and running, and so it's going to be a really fun weekend. There will be a video about that, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And then of course the big one is going to be on November 24th. That is the day after Thanksgiving. That evening will mark the beginning of the Sunset Endurance Challenge, the 24-hour. You can do it in 24, 12, or 6 hour, and I have signed up for the 24-hour one. So that's going to be my my big scary goal for the year, is seeing how much I can actually do in 24 hours. Right now, my bare minimum goal is to complete 50K in 24 hours. However, my big goal would be to complete 50 miles within that. So we're just going to see if I can outlast the clock, if I can actually pull myself out of those valleys that I'm going to find myself in, and just see how long I can run in a loop before I go crazy. Now, as far as new gear and equipment, since I am trying to stay as consistent as possible in the preparation for the endurance race, I have not really thrown a whole lot of new stuff into the mix. I do want to make sure that I am properly stocked for everything, so I am going to be taking the things that I know have worked and trying to order some surplus of that so that I can make sure that I have it on hand for the race when the day comes. These are going to be things that I have reviewed in monthly updates past, things like Endurance Tap, things like Go-Go Squeeze, various types of compression socks, different types of anti-chafe. So a lot of the things that I've talked about in these monthly update videos before, I am going to have on hand with me. So make sure that you stay tuned, because there is going to be an entire video about getting all of my gear together in preparation for the 24 hours. And since we've talked about what races are coming up, let's talk a little bit about what's coming up on the channel. Of course, there are going to be reviews of said races. I'm going to be talking about Dirt Circus. I'll be talking about Sunset Endurance. I'll be talking about the preparation going into Sunset Endurance. And I am going to be having a few extra things coming up. There is an app that I've been using in order to help me out with intervals. And so I'm going to be talking a little bit about that. And we are going to be continuing the Run the USA series with a look at races in New Mexico. So if you have any races you would like to suggest for New Mexico, make sure you drop those down in the comments below. And finally, just like we do every month, I'm going to drop a link down below to a Spotify playlist. So if you have a turkey trot coming up, if you have a nice short run coming up anytime soon, and you're just needing something new to listen to, I provide a monthly playlist every single month. It usually centers around some sort of a theme. And of course, this time we're going to be taking a look at sort of an autumn and Thanksgiving type theme. So if you would like to listen to that, the link is going to be down below. There's also going to be a link to all of this year's monthly playlists, all put together in one gigantic playlist. There's also going to be a link down below to a playlist called Welcome to the Geek Den, and this is a playlist that has been put together by you, the runners. Everything that is on that list has been suggested by someone who has watched this channel. If you have any songs that you would like to add to the list, drop them in the comments below and I will make sure they get added. So there you go. That is a look back at the month of October in training. I want to know, how did your month go? Did you have any races? Is there anything coming up that you are training for? Do you plan on running a turkey trot over Thanksgiving? Let me know how everything's going down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. All you have to do is click that button below. It doesn't cost you anything and it keeps you up to date on all the running adventures I'm having all the time. You can also give this video a big thumbs up. Both of those get me out to more runners just like you. You can also follow me on social media. All the links are down in the description. You can find me across all platforms under the name Running Geek Girl. Thanks so much for joining me for another month. I'm so glad you could be here. Remember to laugh hard, run fast, and be kind. I will see you later.